Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on all kinds of issues related to narcissism, narcissistic people, toxic relationships, and just difficult situations in general. My hope is that the content on this channel helps you understand these patterns, helps you save yourself if you're in these relationships or avoid getting in the first place, and also helps you heal from these relationships. And just as an aside, for those of you who are interested in a deeper dive into healing beyond what we could do here at YouTube, go to the video notes, hit that link. We have a much more in-depth healing program if you want to check that out. And if you're new to this channel, please subscribe. We'd love to have you join this community of people who are getting smarter about narcissism every single day. So again, right now, this is an exciting time for this channel because I am blown away by the quality of suggestions and emails we get from people. And many of you sending in the same things. And we have a team that organizes all of this. And then I really sit down on the pre-production side and kind of massage these topics. And this is one that's come up a few times. I'm really glad to take this on. And when I developed this idea, I was actually struck by how many directions it took me. And so I can imagine those of you struggling with it are also saying, yes, this was a complicated one. So the question is, what if you are the new relationship for someone after they split up with a narcissist? So you understand what that is. So somebody's met someone and you're the next relationship somebody has after that person has left a narcissistic relationship. Okay. This question was so interesting. I was surprised we'd never talked about it before, but we had it. And I know that some of you are in this situation and really want to understand it. And in fact, if any of you were in this situation, drop it in the comments. It'll be interesting to see how many of you get this, because some of you are in this relationship, in this situation. You're in a relationship with a really nice person, and that person's last partner was a narcissist or had some other kind of antagonistic personality style. And you are watching how that ex-partner's toxicity is still making an impact on your partner, or perhaps is taking a toll on your relationship and your new partner. So let's take on the different ways this can manifest, because it can affect a relationship in different ways. So the number one way is that your new partner that you're dating or in a relationship with has children and is co-parenting with a toxic ex. This is such a difficult and at times a nightmare situation. As with all antagonistic personalities, narcissistic people do not like feeling that they've lost control, lost supply, or have been replaced. In fact, when a narcissistic person's ex-partner meets someone new, that's when it gets really messy. The narcissist becomes like a dog with a bone and will launch a campaign of triangulation, really bad boundaries, contempt, and vindication. And a whole range of things may happen. The narcissistic ex-partner may actually try to wheedle their way in with you or make friends or allies with you as the new partner with the goal of triangulation and to be able to keep pulling the strings not only in your life, but obviously in their ex-partner's life. The children at a whole new level. Many people who meet a new partner after they leave the narcissist and they meet someone new, they'll find themselves being drawn back into court, facing an amped up new set of custody issues. Like I said, narcissistic and antagonistic people do not like that sense of abandonment, and they have a primal fear of being replaced by somebody, including with their own children. Everything is a vindictive competition for them. And so the narcissist's ex finding someone new is a declaration of psychological war. It won't be unusual for the narcissistic ex to send you, if you were the new partner, text messages, emails, follow you on social media. At times, it can feel like they're trying to craft a relationship with their with the new person who's with their ex. And at others, it could even feel menacing and creepy. The narcissistic ex may also create a sort of flying monkeys experience. For example, sharing terrible bits of information about the new partner that may not be true and about your relationship, and sharing that with the parents of the children's friends or other people that you both may know, so that your ex is really getting in there and making a mess. And if you are the new partner, it can be exhausting to watch the impact it has on this person you're in a relationship with. The poor boundaries, the contempt, the rage, the push-pull of the custody battles. You may make plans with this new partner and then have to watch those plans be dismantled because the narcissistic ex learns that the two of you are going to do something fun and wants to spoil it. It can be really difficult watching your new partner still having to endure the gaslighting, the invalidation, the dismissiveness, the taunts, the insults, the smear campaigns. The stress on your partner can actually take a toll on the relationship as a whole. And some people have ended these relationships because of this ongoing stress. You may deeply care about your new partner's children, but the narcissistic ex may make it all but impossible to craft a relationship with their children, or you may even be too anxious to do so. And I have to say, for good reason, because if the narcissistic ex perceives you as having a warm relationship with those children, it will activate and trigger all kinds of feelings of abandonment and rage and entitlement that could be harmful for both the children and for you. The relationship can really feel like a toxic threesome with the children in the middle. And you may find yourself wishing away the years until your new partner's children turn 18. But I can promise you this, that mess won't be over then. You may still have to endure the narcissistic ex at graduations and weddings and holiday nonsense, and they may only get more vindictive and more difficult as the children emerge into adulthood, because the narcissist will have lost the power of the courts and the lawyers and the custody threats as a way of threatening and controlling their ex and your relationship. So what do you do? Frankly, and I know you hate hearing this, it's about realistic expectations, radical acceptance, and recognizing that this situation is probably never going to get better. But it's also about how much your new partner is able to lay down boundaries with their ex, not over-engage, and asking whether they are able to maintain realistic expectations themselves with their ex-partner. It's also important that you're able to have clear lines of communication about this mess with your new partner. It's not going to fly if your partner says, I don't want to talk about this part of my life. It's too big and chaotic a part of their life. So if they try to cordon it off or keep trying to cater to the whims of the narcissistic ex, well, that's harming your life. Some people may recognize that they don't have the stomach for this toxic roller coaster. And while they may actually love their new partner, the stress of the narcissistic ex may pull them out of the relationship. It can seem unfair that a person's life is getting wrecked on an ongoing basis by an ex, but a narcissistic relationship is a bad gift that keeps on giving. But only you know how much that you can endure, and often from a very disempowered position, because you are caught in the line of vindictive fire, and frankly, are pretty limited in what you can do because it's your partner's ex. The number two situation is that you meet someone who has a narcissistic ex who has children, and you have children too. So everything I just said, but with a wrinkle, because now you have your own children to manage and monitor. Now, while the narcissistic ex of your new partner has nothing to say about your children, or they better not, they have plenty to say about their own. Narcissistic folks have no problems using anyone to get their egocentric agendas met, including using their own children. They may turn to their own children to be spies, to teach them to talk to your children and get information. And children, frankly, in their infinite innocence, they do share and they do talk. They may be unkind to your children if the narcissistic ex told them bad things. You may find your own children having to suffer with the scuttled, canceled plans because the narcissistic ex keeps making a mess of everything. Last-minute vacations or last-minute cancellations or other activities that all get thrown off. That sort of fantasy or hope of a successful blended family is simply not going to work if there's a toxic ex involved. They do not like the idea of people moving on without them. So no, you will not be those folks who all take a big fun vacation together or have blended holidays. Now, for a minute, narcissistic people are self-righteous enough to think they're evolved enough to pull that off. But their personalities will not tolerate these mixes and blendings for long. And once they start to crack, every holiday, every birthday, every vacation, and every special event will be ruined. Now, watching your partner suffer, especially if this is a long-term committed relationship with somebody who has a narcissistic ex or a new marriage, can really be painful for your children to witness too, and leave them feeling powerless, helpless, and even scared, depending on the behavior of your partner's narcissistic ex. Again, what do you do? This is a personal opinion on my Dr. Ramani part, but I personally think your kids should come first. If being in proximity to the narcissistic or antagonistic ex of a new partner is not good for your children, then as much as you may care about this new person in your life, I think you really should do what you need to do to protect your children and do what's psychologically best for them. The third version of this is you have your own narcissistic ex, and then you meet someone who has a narcissistic ex too. Now, you can easily see how this would happen and how it could even work. Nobody is going to understand this more than a person who has been through it. And as a result, this kind of relationship can actually feel quite supportive. The challenge is everything I've already been talking about in this video, having to watch your partner endure the abuse from the ex, your partner having to watch you potentially endure abuse from your ex. And then, so that mix of everyone having to watch everyone suffer, not so easy. And obviously, if there's also children involved, children can make this a lot more complicated for all the reasons I've also already said. Of all the mixes, in some ways, this version could work because both of you may have tremendous patience, empathy, and understanding for the situation the other one's in. But the chaos all around will definitely also take a toll on both of you. In addition, if you have a narcissistic ex, even if your narcissistic ex has quieted down, if your new partner's ex has not, then you yourself may find yourself really triggered and uncomfortable, having to watch all of these patterns that you endured unfold again. And number 4 version is that you've met someone brand new, like you're dating, you meet someone new, and they have a narcissistic ex-partner. So imagine this being really on the first weeks or months. You meet someone and they let you know that they may be co-parenting with a narcissist, or were married and divorced from a narcissist, or have left a long-term committed relationship with a narcissist. You hear from them how difficult the relationship has been. You may feel empathy for what they're experiencing. You commit to communicating clearly with them and just being your best self in this relationship. I got to be honest with you. You could probably bring your C game into a relationship with this person, with somebody who's coming out of a narcissistic relationship, and they're still going to think you hung the moon. But be careful. Don't bring your C game. Bring your best self. It's going to be very painful to watch this new partner go through the BS they have to endure. And you will have to ask yourself if you want to endure the bad treatment from their ex, or watch your new partner endure this. So let me tell you this, word to the wise on someone who's entering one of these new relationships. Some people out there are out of these narcissistic relationships, and they're really out. Obviously, they cannot control their ex-partner's behavior, but they're clearly resolved about being out. They aren't engaging. They may get pulled in more than they want because of things like children, but they don't spend lots of time talking or thinking about the relationship. They may just be a really nice person in a really crappy situation who's just committed to moving beyond it and working on a relationship with you. But in some cases, there are people with narcissistic exes who haven't fully let it go. They are still ruminating. They're still going the 15 rounds. They're still wasting time composing emails and composing texts and obsessing over their anger. In those situations, tread lightly. These people may be physically out of the relationship, but their head may still be caught in the toxic dance. And what that means is that they are not present with you. You may need to wait or let them go till they do get that all figured out. To be the next partner after a person has left a narcissistic relationship is an interesting mix of being with someone who, frankly, is probably so appreciative of a sane partner, who may really be attentive to you in a way that only someone who's been through something as awful as narcissistic abuse can, but who also may still be stuck in a really stressful, toxic situation that can be hard to witness, leave you feeling powerless and helpless, really disrupt the relationship, and may even get you stuck in the line of fire. I have worked with many, many people in this situation. And I got to tell you, some of these folks I've worked with, they were with a narcissistic ex. They've been divorced for some cases 20, 30 plus years. Their kids are even in their 40s and stuff. And they're still dealing with this toxic merry-go-round. I think that for narcissistic people, it's as though their ended relationships still represent sort of supply that they can still sort of squeeze the last bit of juice out of. And they really almost feel this constant sense of ownership over former partners. Most of the time, it's not every case, but it's a lot of the time. So you might say, they've been out of this relationship for 20 years. How much trouble could it still be? It could still be trouble. I just think that what everyone needs to do is make sure that you're very aware, because some folks might say, listen, we have a lot of empathy for each other because we've both been through this. And other people will say, this is unbearable. I feel like everything I went through in my narcissistic relationship, I'm having to endure again. I may not be up to this. And children raise a lot of issues. But I can promise you this, for many people who have if you're entering into a relationship with somebody who has a narcissistic ex, you really do have to either have the patience of Job or the subterfuge skills of a highly skilled spy to be able to make plans so the narcissistic ex can't find them out, so they can't ruin them. It's an exhausting way to live. It's not to say that these relationships can't work, but it does mean the person who has the narcissistic ex really, really has to be committed to not engaging and having really, really good boundaries. I hope that answers that question. Thanks again.